Good evening, Merrimack. Welcome to the Merrimack Village District Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is December 16th, 2024. I'll call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. Public participation is offered by webinar, and you can go to today's agenda on mvdwater.org website, and there's a link there. And there's also a phone number that you can call. And a webinar ID you can enter. So if you want to be live in these webinars, these meetings, you can do that. So first, I'm going to just ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we have all 5 members here. We don't need a roll call then, and no remote participation. So we'll get started with Kristen Marr with Finance and Human Resources Review.
Thank you. We are roughly 42% through the fiscal year of FY25. Current revenue through November, is 3.5 million. Our current expenses through November is roughly 2 million. Our net ordinary income is roughly 1.5 million at this time. Some of the increases in revenue, you'll notice on account 40408, which is new mains. We got our first payment from St. Cobain for the new line service with all of the mainline entrance fees, basically. In terms of expenses, account number 70040, new entrance and meters, is the new construction still going on around town, along with our new entrances that we're doing along with St. Cobain. Any questions on either revenue or expense? Pretty much in line. On to trust activities. I've not gotten the November statement. By the time I did these, so interest and fees for November are not on here. We did receive the money for the dump truck that we received a month ago from the trust, coming out of equipment and facilities. We do have, in terms of the remainder of this fiscal year, we have a lot of to be determined. Has changed with any of those, along with a few things that are showing up under 2025 that you pretty much have said are on hold. But I'm going to leave it that until the year's over and we do actually move it. So as of the end of 2025 right now, land and acquisitions, we're looking at roughly 1.5 million for the ending. Equipment and facilities, 2.4 million, system development, 1.2 million, legal, 111,000, and water purchase, about 460,000. Estimates of the warrant articles. I have more here in this report. I know that depending on how our budget goes, we may go back to what we did for FY24, which was 800,000 and 200,000. But collectively, they're the same, $1 million. Any questions on trust funds?
I'm just pointing out that the equipment and facilities, we did get the grants, right, for the main line extensions.
Yes.
That's good to know. So is that reflected in here already that those grants were awarded, or just the fact that we were looking at that $800,000 amount as funding that?
That
can come off now?
That can come off, yes.
Yeah. That's good. A very helpful thing to happen.
Yes. Any other questions?
Nope, you guys good?
Fund balance. As of the end of November, our unassigned net position is 22,192,916, which is roughly of convertible cash about $4 million, which is 16.9% of our overall budget. Again, we're waiting for a few of those projects to close. December 31st is the absolute deadline for 2, 9, 7, and 8. For the manuals, once those, New Hampshire DES receives those, hopefully within the next month, we'll get that payment and that account can be closed out. Questions on fund balance?
Well, looks like we're good.
The others are the normal reports that I have sent you. And that's pretty much it for financials.
All right, then I guess we can get into the regular session. And first on the agenda was the review of the draft conflict of interest policy, third reading. And it's required for recipients of federal American Recovery Plan Act funds, which we are. So was there, what changes did we make to this? I know we broke out the appendix last time.
We took, yes.
Took out the appendix, right?
Took out the appendix and just showed them as references.
Right. I don't know if
That
anybody,
was pretty much the only,
which is basically a 5-page policy at this point.
correct.
I didn't have any comments. I don't know if anybody else had any questions or comments on this. I guess if we approve this, this is the final approval to make it real.
Third read, you should be allowed to vote this evening.
Right. So if there's no questions or more information from you guys.
One real quick question,
Yep.
just since I'm a policy person.
Sure.
As we went through this, we're aware that there's no violation of this policy today, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure.
That's
Don't put it in
a good
place
start.
before you reference it, right?
That's a good point. Yeah, it's pretty specific in, potential perception of conflict of interest. Definitely something that spells out specific things. So if anybody, no more questions, anybody wants to make a motion to accept the third reading, this conflict of interest policy as written, as presented?
I have one quick comment on that. I learned something as part of the Rotary that I'm sharing right now. And we actually did a risk analysis for a number of reasons. And one of the things we learned in the process that such a conflict of interest policy should be distributed and signed by board members annually. I'm not sure if we have that in there. I don't think we do. But, and I don't think we need to add it, but it might be a good idea at the beginning of the new fiscal year or when the new board comes in. Even if it gets reelected, maybe just add it to like the annual calendar.
There's 3 other policies you sign annually, so I can just add those two.
Yeah, the idea is basically just for the board to be reminded of this policy annually. That's apparently something the state has proposed for nonprofits to do, and it might not be a bad idea for us as a to do as well. Just as a comment.
What's our policy on policies?
I don't think we have one.
Should,
Do we have one? Yeah, we probably do.
right? So annual review of policies.
Well, we have that, yeah. I think. But yeah, maybe could be added there. Sorry for detouring that.
No, makes sense.
To make up for that, I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll make that motion to accept the, thank you. Oh my God, I'm getting old. Conflict of interest policy dated August 21st, 2024, after the third reading
As amended.
as amended. Thank you.
Motion by Wolf,
Second.
second by Scott. Any other questions, discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nobody opposed, nobody abstaining. It's 5-0-0. So that's good to go. And I think we can move on with the session 2 agenda at this point until we get we've got a hard stop at 5:30. Is that what it was?
Right.
Yeah.
And then I just had a quick update on the financial software.
Oh, all right.
There actually isn't an update.
Okay.
We're still waiting on Amy to review some items, but she is in lead service land. So she has not had the time to review some of the answers to the questions that she had. So we are still on hold. And then just a quick, I had sent you guys the salary merit pool options.
Before we move to that, I'm sorry, I was just reading something. We were just talking about the software, right?
Yes.
Right. So doesn't that have, the fact that we keep delaying that, doesn't that have implications for the budget for this year?
It does.
Because we have made assumptions for savings and additional expenditures, but now we're not getting the savings, right? So are we,
Overall, because we're a roll-up budget, we are still good.
okay,
But yes,
okay, just have
it's
to.
just, it's a matter of,
I'm not criticizing the fact that I just want to make sure if it has impact on the budget,
That we
that
remember that.
we remember that and we
Yes.
plan for it. That's all I'm asking.
yes,
Yeah, like we said before, if it takes longer to figure out the best option, that's more important than doing something knee jerk and have it say,
correct.
we didn't look into it enough. This doesn't do this, that, and the other thing after all. So, it's a balance there. All right. Questions on that?
In terms of the merit pool options that I sent you, if you could send me your thoughts so that I could put something together for our session 2.
Okay. Which is, what was that? January
22nd.
22nd. I want to make sure, wanted to ask you because I wanted to make sure I had that on my calendar. And I do. All right.
And I can either respond to me, I can either put what you decide, or I can have 3 columns to show you the differences. But
Okay.
and everyone have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
You too.
You as well, and thank you very much.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna jump to number 3, which is the minutes. Because the presenter for number 2 isn't here yet, so we'll which is the minutes, November 18. Anybody have any corrections to offer on that?
I had one was on the let's see, where was it? It was when Wolf talked about the budget line for security, it said Underwood. I wanted to make sure that wasn't Underwood, that was Adam and the insurance company, right, that we were looking for?
You got a page and line number?
I'm looking for it.
Okay.
I saw it online.
13, it's page 13, I'm actually at right now, but I'm not seeing Underwood.
13. Nope, it's in another section. We're talking about budget. Should have taken a mental note of
Yeah,
the line here, but I didn't.
While you're looking that up too, Don,
yeah.
I did talk to Keith about those.
The map flow.
Page 6, so maps,
Yeah,
and
Got it.
since then, I revised it.
oh, you did, all right.
Yeah, he sent me language to me, I made that revision, saying the model is showing representative maps of water age and.
Page 1013.
Yep,
All right, good.
page 10,
Page 10.
13.
Right, we're waiting for a report from Adam and ATOM and was it Prism? It's the insurance.
Primex.
Oh, Primex, yes. That should be that, right? Not under.
Yeah.
What lines are you guys looking at?
So it's page 10, line 13.
Oh.
Lines. Oh, yeah. 'cause it's cheap.
It's probably the Adam report, isn't it?
I would just scratch that whole point and creating a new one. And I mean, scratch everything and after creating a new one. So scratch to follow the Underwood report and. Basically creating a new one, comma, identify ongoing quarterly cybersecurity updates beginning in January.
Got that, Jill?
Yeah, and I actually had a adjustment there too for cosmetic, page 13. Line 28. I don't think I questioned the will of the board in regard to adding a budget line. It was probably more of a comment that we should have a discussion about adding a budget line. That sounds like as if I questioned the board billing, to invest in cybersecurity. I don't think that was the message, but I'm fine with the way it is, but just wanted to state that was not, I think, how I worded it. I didn't think that I questioned the board. Maybe I asked the board about the will,
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Was just asking.
Questioning.
if The board would like to.
Correct. Yeah, questioning to me sounds like I'm doubting the board.
Oh,
Maybe that's just me, but that's not. But no need to change anything.
Any other questions, addition, edits? Not, then entertain a motion to approve minutes as
Excuse me.
amended. Minutes of, where are we here? November 18, 2024.
Motion to accept the minutes as presented, as amended.
All right, motion by Wolf. Second by Aaron. No other questions, comments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, no opposition, no abstentions. It's 500 for those amended minutes. Guess we can move into action items. Let's see, one's due December.
43.
Yeah, salt mitigation committee meetings. What was that set for December 4? Yeah. We had, was this something with the state or was this the salt meeting we had last month?
so we sent out the support letters to DOT and they were received. I followed up.
Okay.
Just this past Friday, we hadn't heard anything. And we got an email back from John Corcoran saying, I received your letter. I've set up an internal meeting next week. Then I will follow up with you and setting up a meeting with the town for the next steps. So
Right.
that's happening this week. we should hear something back.
So that's basically accepting the reduced salt status on the continental and
That's what we did.
industrial. Right. Right,
That sign or maybe even adding some sort of a sign that it's a low.
right.
low
Yeah.
salt.
Probably taking the one out that says no salt.
Can we have a little DOT signature on the side so that they know it's their sign?
Sign it.
So in 10 years, we can.
Yeah, we want somebody to sign it.
T on the sign. We'll
Just
put that
the board knows too, Don, it's also the recording secretary for many of the planning board, zoning, I forget what all her committees are, schools. So she's been going through, because she remembers a conversation a long time ago. Don, you want to speak to that?
Oh.
Are you eating dinner?
No, sorry about that. I just had to click the microphone. I have a memory of a conversation that took place, I think when Councilor Mahon was on the board. He was also on a transportation committee, I believe, at the state level, and I remember conversations about salt and Continental Boulevard. Beyond just the fact that vehicles coming off the Effie Everett Turnpike were bringing a lot of salt with them when they took that exit. My memory tells me there was a conversation about signs. I've started going through past meeting minutes and then quickly realized that it could have been the Conservation Commission, it could have been the town council. I also served as backup for the zoning board and the planning board. So it's a lot more research than I thought it would be to try to back up what my memory is. So I'm still hopeful. Don't want to make any promises yet that my memory is as good as I think it is, but I'm going to continue looking.
All right, we appreciate that. Be good to know where those signs came from.
Yeah, and hopefully I can find that. It's just something that stuck with me when I heard your conversation, so I'll continue to try.
Yeah, I wasn't aware you were recording those minutes for those other committees, so that's good to use that experience if we can find something. That's awesome.
Well, fingers crossed.
All right. Okay. Moving on to the next December item, looks like number 67. We just kind of talked about that. The signs of the no salt signs, reduced salt signs. So we'll hopefully get some resolution. Number 79, just an overall update on the water line extensions, Palmieri, Girard, Wilson Hill, Mulliken, and Mason and Farmer roads.
Yeah, we should have drawings this week for final review before meeting with the town. Basically, we're gonna meet with them to, see if they have any with their pavement restoration. So we've got
Okay.
we kind of went off of what their pavement restorations were gonna be, but just want to have them take a look at the plans and that kind of stuff. From that, it will go to the state after that, so.
And so we're putting out the full bid to all the properties that were intended. Remember we talked about reducing the bid, but now that we have the grant to cover the shortfall, we should be
Yes.
able to do the full projects, I think, right?
I will know more after, yes, we should be able to do the full
Just
project.
bid the whole thing.
I don't know if it's still gonna, when it goes to governor and council and everything's signed off, I don't know if it's gonna cross. So we may still do an adult.
Okay.
I'm not 100% on that piece of it.
There wasn't a deadline on having the bids go out or anything, was there? Because there were two different grant sources, the major grants, not the drinking water.
That was amended with a final application. Once we were,
Okay.
DES recommended it, we had to do a final application that included it, which also changed dates. So that's been.
All right. Okay, because I thought I was getting worried. I thought I remember something being like the end of the year or something, but if it's not, then just keep track of that because we don't want to lose the $3 million grants. That would be unfortunate.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
would say.
yeah, that'd be bad.
So just a question from my own knowledge. Do we ever work with like utility providers and in the town to put other services in while that's just being dug?
We go to the town activities meetings, so that's where a lot of that is discussed. Somebody, Brian or Steve, who goes to the activity meetings, and if there's something that they're working on that looks like we could benefit from it, he'd come to us and tell, and
You do the same.
Yeah.
Like underground power or something like that?
Yeah, you could bury lines, you could, gas lines, sewage lines.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you don't want that near the water probably, but
Yeah, no, but you're right. If they're,
It doesn't.
They're
seem to always
relaying-
Work out.
Yeah.
right, well, so like, I know like where I live.
Nobody has money at the same time,
In an
ever.
ideal situation would be awesome, but it doesn't always seem
Yeah.
to work out.
Yeah,
We've tried to do it in the past. We've mentioned the last thing that comes to mind that we worked on with the town would have been McGaw Bridge.
Mhm.
And I stated at that point, when they were designing that if you're gonna pave the whole road, all the, from start to end, we might be interested in replacing all of that water main. At the time, they were only gonna be a bridge and small work zone, then paving the whole road. We could have been a perfect time, and we had a break not short after they repaved the road. We had a leak out there, so.
same thing.
no, but I mean, it'd be good to point out to the town and say, and I don't know if we're planning on having the whole road repaved or just, I don't know.
We're doing,
Yeah,
we've planned trench patching.
yeah,
They're not requiring, or I believe it's gonna be trench patching, or it could be possibly one lane. It's not gonna be full width repaving.
yeah, all right,
That was just too costly, and
yeah. And if that was a situation, then you kind of want to make sure they had any drainage or something like that. You
right.
get that in, so they don't have to.
There was one drain in question on Wilson Hill Road. And I actually went out and looked at it. It's actually pretty solid, so we're not worried about making a crossing under it. But there was something to the fact that it's, the town, if it needed to be, maybe the town might place that as, when we're out there as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think it's gonna be fun. It seemed fine to me, but
Okay. All right, try to get through a few more of these.
So production letter.
Well, are they gonna be on at 5:30 looking for us? Do we need to?
No, we've just come out of this meeting.
Yeah,
Started the non-public.
yeah, so it's gonna be a whole new Zoom meeting and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
Right, well, just let me know when we need to quit, because it's only a couple minutes off, so.
Yeah, it'd take a big couple minutes to get on there, so if you wouldn't mind.
That's where we just finished talking, that one action item gets good stopping spot.
Yeah, so we'll stop at 79 here, pick up the next one at 85 at the next session. So right now we're going to move into non-public. So we need a motion for that to recess this metion
Yep. I'll make a motion to go into non-public. Do we have to, discussion with legal?
Yeah, I don't know that we have the RSAs and all that stuff spelled out, but.
Right.
No, actually. Don's already got it, but it's pending claims and litigation.
Right.
Okay,
Again, so motion to go into non-public due to discussion with legal, due to pending litigation.
Don's got a question.
I was just gonna throw out the RSA is 91A:32E, consideration or negotiation of pending claims or litigation which has been threatened in writing or filed by or against the public body.
I knew that.
There you go.
So moved.
all right, so that's motion by Wolf,
I'll second.
second by Aaron. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
500, no oppositions or abstentions. So we'll catch you on the rebound on session 2. Thanks for attending. All right, welcome back. We are in the regular session here again. So we're going back to agenda item number 2, which is a proposal from Sean O'Keefe at Granite State De-icing Supply for using potassium acetate brine application as a pilot study at Parker Village. So that being said, welcome, Sean. Good to see you here.
Hi there.
Do I have, Jill, do you have a copy, electronic copy already? Electronic copy of the presentation?
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, on your laptop.
And it's also here.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Excuse me. Now that we're
Yes.
back in public session, can we take a motion that the commission by roll call seal the minutes of the non-public session until such time as the majority of the commission votes that the purpose of the confidentiality would no longer be served?
I make a motion, that motion that she just said.
Right. Minutes, but that's all right. We'll seal the minutes that don't exist. Oh,
No, she's still there.
She was there. She must have taken them, right?
She's still there.
all right, so we got a motion to seal the non-public
Here we go.
minutes.
Yeah, you have,
Do
Sure.
we have a second?
Click the button, that arrow on the right.
A second.
All right, Scott seconds. All those in favor of sealing the non-public minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
500, no oppositions, abstentions.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
What's that? Oh, okay. Yep. Just from us. No, it's fine. That's how I labeled it. So
So you want to kind of go through your presentation that you have queued up? Is that what you want to do?
I do. No, it's on there.
Hard copy in the packet
Okay.
to look at too, so.
This will help me because
I know. I know. I know.
All right, you have the floor. You're ready.
We're gonna be,
Just the Windows E.
you got it.
I'm gonna find an extension cord one day.
Yeah, I know. Hit view something, right?
Well, it needs to be shared on the presentation, on the meeting.
Is that being shared?
No,
So you're gonna go into Zoom and hit share if it's not already.
Back up.
oh, thank you. Hit the escape key, escape or Windows, just to get back to the desktop.
I don't know where you're. Back to the, I guess we get back to the Zoom and we're gonna share the.
Share somewhere in here. Is that what I'm looking for?
Yep.
There. You guys know how to do this? They're smiling the entire time, making fun of us.
No. It's actually a lot harder on a single screen than a double screen, to be fair.
Run it right from there.
Okay.
Although, I don't know what's up there.
Dawn, can you see the presentation?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Yes, I can.
Just the arrow key, I think.
Mhm. Spacebar arrow.
Yeah, we can just click on number 2.
So the,
I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Sean O'Keefe, lifelong resident of Merrimack, owner of O'Keefe Landscape and Irrigation for 35 years. Developed a company called Granite State De-icing Supply about 5 years ago, just to help reduce our salt impact. As I mentioned, 35 years of snow removal and de-icing experience. I'm also a master applicator for the New Hampshire Green Snow Growth Program.
your laptop is sharing a presentation to the back. So that needs to go away, but the presentation is on Zoom. So whenever you hit share the first time, it's shared PowerPoint to the projector.
Advancing?
It's not advancing.
Yeah.
Well, it is on.
It is on Zoom.
It is on Zoom.
It should be.
Yeah, just basically switch to, you're sharing the wrong screen to the projector, basically.
I get you. How do I switch screens then?
I don't know how you,
This one here.
no, don't close that one.
No, the downside.
There you go.
Is the PowerPoint advancing on Zoom?
It is.
Hey. I'll bill you later. Yeah, I think you're on the next one. There you go.
So my objective this evening is to discuss alternative, and I hate to use the term de-icing methods, in the wellhead protection area. Currently, a lot of properties are limited to the use of sand. Sand isn't technically a de-icer, it's just a traction agent that it loses its grit very quickly. Becomes an issue. This is a statement that I got from your website, understanding why salt reduction is so important.
Yep.
Why anti-icing and de-icing is so important. Public safety is the number one reason. Found this on Google, 800,000 lives every year due to slip and fall accidents. Due to the amount of lawsuits, it's becoming very impossible for contractors like myself to get liability insurance to cover us to provide our services. Programs like the New Hampshire Green Snow programs, it's a great program, educates contractors on how to reduce their salt impact,
and gives us a level of liability coverage through the state. And we achieve that by becoming certified, taking courses, and providing information back to the program, reporting our salt usage by town. Lawsuits have gone beyond just the parties involved. They've stretched out to homeowners, board members, right down to manufacturers and dealers, distributors of de-icing equipment and products. It's not a de-icer used for traction. Studies have shown that as little as 8 vehicles traveling over sand can break it down to lose its grit and become a silica. Sand also clogs drains, creating flood problems, as well as coating floors and brooks and streams, killing plant life and microorganisms. It compresses into snowpack, failing to provide traction, and freezing rain forms ice right over it. Some of the products that we've come across, and one in particular that we currently use to reduce our salt impact, we have salt brine, we have acetate products, and we have formate products. Formate products are very expensive and offer no additional melting capabilities that make it worth the additional cost. So we're going to talk about 2 items, the salt brine versus acetates. Salt brine is one of the fastest growing alternatives to granular salt or treated salt. Salt brine is water saturated with sodium chloride, commonly known as salt. De-icing with salt brine is 1/10 of the salt that's used in the form. Salt brine can be used both for pre-treatment and post-treatment, reducing our salt impact by up to 70%. Why is liquid de-icing more effective? De-ices stay where they're applied, eliminating scatter or migration, keeping salt out of the green spaces. Liquid de-ice is spread evenly, not leaving excessive piles. Pre-treatments waters the carrier, leaving microscopic crystals of salt in the pavement, allowing the safest surface possible before a storm even begins. When the liquids are allowed to dry out before precipitation falls, liquids become tacky and sting in place, whereas light rain to moderate rain won't wash them away. The most important reason for liquids is we're able to cut our salt use back by 70%. Salt brine versus granular salt. Granular salt applications typically range between 400 and 600 pounds per acre, whereas salt brine at an 80-gallon per acre post-treatment is 186 pounds. Granular salt also takes up to 45 minutes to start working. It needs to absorb the precipitation, become a liquid, and turn into a brine before it really starts melting. Salt brine goes to work immediately upon contact because it's already a brine. Salt brine, again, creates the safest surface possible because we can go out days in advance and have the salt crystals in the asphalt, creating a safe surface and eliminating ice buildup, snowpack, and black ice. Chloride-free alternatives, acetate is a chloride-free de-icing material. Comes with an increased cost compared to chloride de-icers. Acetates are typically used at for airport runways, airport de-icing. Most acetates come in both liquid and dry form. Dry form acetates can be brined to reduce costs. One One of the products that we have is sodium acetate. It's the most effective, most cost-effective acetate product available in dry form. We can brine this product and reduce the amount of product needed to de-ice. Applications rate around 1.5 gallons per 1,000 square feet. Then we have liquid potassium acetate, which is a more expensive alternative. Available in liquid form, the product is shipped in totes or bulk tanker loads. It is biodegradable, chloride-free product. It does not contaminate groundwater. Applications are 0.5 gallon per 1,000 square feet. So I'm here representing Parker Village and directly, but also other properties within the wellhead protection area that I think bringing salt brine into a de-icing capability within the wellhead protection area and working on eliminating granular salt, we can really reduce the salt impact as well as the chloride impact on our wells. These numbers here represent pre-treatment and post-treatment applications within the Parker Village complex. As you can see, I've broken everything down by area. So all the walkways on the property for pre-treatment, we would use 7.43 gallons, which is 17.3 pounds of salt, or 0.008 tons. Post-treatment on the walkways, we use 13.2 gallons, or 13.8 pounds at 0.015 tons. I could go through the whole list, but at the end of the day, we're looking at a total salt brine application for the entire property as being 478 gallons, which is 1,075 pounds, or 0.5 ton.
So Sean, question for you. On the slide you had salt brine versus granular salt. You said salt brine at a rate of 80 gallons per acre is 186 pounds.
Yep.
So the driveway here is almost an acre, right? So we're saying in that almost acre, you're at about 267 pounds of salt because you're doing a pre-treatment as well. I mean, it's still a reduction, but that's less than 50%.
So the entire property is less than an acre of surface. So total application area. Yeah.
Right. So I'm just saying, like, the driveway shows that it's 0.918 acres. I'm assuming
that's the total driveway areas.
right. So you're putting down just under 80 gallons per acre just for the driveway, right? So what I'm saying here is, if I do the math up on the other side where you're talking about the reduction being 50 to 70%, but you're only including a post-treatment. You're not talking about the pre-treatment as well.
So, yeah, so that was an example, salt versus salt brine.
Okay. Do we only do salt brine after?
So we do it before and after.
Right.
Right.
So it's a little less than 50% reduction.
Depending on, between 400 and 600 pounds per acre, depending on who's doing the application.
Okay. I just want to make sure we have the real numbers.
So our cutback in salt originally by using magic salt brought us down to about 400 pounds per acre. Whereas if somebody's using just straight white salt, you're more up around 600 pounds per acre.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. We also, with liquid de-icing, we have tracking capabilities with our equipment. So in the picture represents convenient MD down the street here. The yellow areas are areas that we're applicating, and the black areas are areas that we're not applicating. We can click on any point in the area that we're applicating, and we can look at our application rates, our surface temperature, our air temperature, as well as what sections of our boom that we're using. all this information links up to a portal. And we currently pre-treat for the DOT and we provide application information, MVD, DOT, as well as Jamie.
I don't know if you said that you're part of the salt reduction committee too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I am part of the salt reduction.
individual.
Yeah.
So
And then just some examples of some equipment that we use to applicate the products.
you can keep track a lot better of the amount of material you're putting down as.
I report exactly how many gallons we use to the Green Snow Pro program each year.
Has Jamie seen any of this? Is he aware of any of this stuff? What's, yeah,
He's tracking it too. When we have a meeting with DOT, they're providing tracking information as well, filing all that.
yeah, I'm talking about this proposal for, so,
Oh, specifically for Parker Village?
yeah. Well, so my understanding is, Parker Village right now restricted from any salt? What is
Yeah,
the
they have a
section that
sand
exists?
only
Sand
restriction.
only, that's what I recall. And I think they were asking if we could change that maybe a year or so ago. And I know Jamie was involved at that time and we thought that it wouldn't be good because it's just where there's no salt being applied and then any amount of salt being applied where there's no salt being applied is only going to add salt to the groundwater. I recognize there are properties that are probably right across the street that are unrestricted and putting godly amounts of salt, more than they even need. That's obviously all restricted by the town because MVD has no enforcement authority on any of this. They're restricted from using de-icers through a town permitting process. Or the planning board is there?
Yes, it's a site plan requirement.
Familiar with that, so that's why I was
So
looking at
it's
it.
only, it's basically written on the approved site plans.
Right,
And then the town can enforce it as we bring it up.
right.
So I did talk to Robert, and if it's a pilot program, whereas in the past we tried doing a pilot, they weren't, it kind of had to be a site plan change. But going forward, Robert is willing to kind of, if it's a pilot program, if it's documented, set time frame, exactly what we're, the area that is going to be done. He was willing to, I guess, kind of look the other way on it to
Let
For
the test
document-
happen.
for documentation, so we can figure out. Again, it's a pilot area that we can.
So-
From.
Ron, how would we measure, I mean, do we take readings like now? And then so we have data showing before and during and after?
Readings of what?
What, the salt levels or?
Salt levels in the wells.
Well,
Oh,
this
that's,
is gonna be a tough site, like, only because they're not allowed anything, so there's really nothing to,
and there's-
anything added into the system.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an addition. So right now, it's technically this, they're not using anything. My thought, or I guess my kind of take on a pilot would be, rather than just sand only, if it was the roadways, if it was just the driveways, it could be a visual, a documentation of being applied, what it looks like during a storm, I guess, some video recordings, application rates, what it looks like, during the storm, record of that kind of a thing, and what it would look like when the storm is completed without using any granular salt, just the use of brine, have that as a recording. I know it's an addition to the system, but it might help us sway somebody else that may be across the street in going to a brine product.
Yes, you,
Not necessarily across, I'm kind of referring.
well, somebody who's using crystallized salt and maybe over applying it and having them change to brine, which would reduce the overall load. This is all kind of flashing back to this conversation that we had in looking at it on a regional plan. If you could get those properties to convert from crystallized salt to brine, then you're decreasing the amount of salt going into the groundwater. Whereas property like this, where there's no salt and then you're using salt, even if it's brine, you would just be adding a little, but when you combine them together, that all the sites together, then on an overall approach, you could reduce the amount of salt. I think that's kind of where.
Should we start a salt credits program? Because this is what it feels like. I will take some of your salt and put it here, and then you can like,
That's
you know what I'm
we tried to
saying?
do Kind of years ago, when Parker Village first approached us, it was gonna be the Commons and Parker Village were gonna work together. The theory was the Commons was gonna use less,
and then Parker
spread it
Village.
a little bit into Parker Village, but collectively, they were gonna use less altogether. That was the ultimate goal. But it just, for whatever reason, it fell through, but
Okay, so it
Just add to,
affects.
'cause I don't think Ken's question was answered, that we do have previous data, we sample quarterly for all raw water, treated water. So we can, you've seen the graphs and stuff, we can monitor that. If there seems to be a spike or something, we'll know where it's coming from.
That's what I mean, because you like to try it at Parker Village, and so like, I just, so we can, the levels. So it's wells 4 and 5, correct?
The problem is,
The reductions that my landscape and snow removal company has done, we were running between 10 and 12 tons of salt per storm. And now in liquid form, we're doing 1.6 tons.
Yeah.
So we're saving 10.4, at max, 10.4 tons of salt every storm, and that's across 10 acres of property. It's just it was overwhelming the amount of reduced salt we were using.
Yeah.
We were buying 4 trailer loads of salt a year. I buy 1 and I get 2 years out.
So,
Which again is property that was being salted with crystal salt that's converting to brine.
Exactly. So just within the wellhead protection area here on Continental Boulevard is, because depending on the map I look at, convenient MV, is that actually within or is it on the outside?
that is on the outside.
It is, okay.
Well, not on one map.
There's
There's
one
two
map
maps
kind
out
of
there.
follows
And I think it's when one was
Campsite
overlaid over
road.
the other, the line shifted by that distance, because I've looked into this. And it goes all the way to Dobson Road, Dobson Way on one map. And then it goes a little further down Continental on another map. So I don't really know.
Okay.
Yeah, I could show you those two maps someday, but it's not consistent. You had a
yeah,
question?
well, just a couple comments. So, I mean, the figure that you just gave would be good to have in a presentation like this, especially if you need to go in front of the town, just your personal use. But also, I would imagine there's got to be studies that have been done as far as sodium in water levels somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, the products were, the technology was created for some reason, but having that as well might be beneficial
Great.
overall if, to
Yeah, see
go
what
and,
we can find for some other studies.
Yeah.
I know it's in the Lake George aquifer, they're pushing salt brine huge because Lake George was borderline a dead lake.
Yeah.
That runs all the way up through to Lake Champlain.
So back to my other question originally was, is Jamie aware of this tonight? He's probably not aware of any of this. I don't know if you talked to
Yeah, I
him.
didn't talk to Jamie about
This pilot program or whatever. I would definitely want to hear what he has to say, just his opinion.
I think we have to say a couple of things. So for one, Jamie is, from memory, and Garrett, right, our consultant as far as anything in terms of geological and.
He's on the salt mitigation committee and all.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because not everybody in the member of the public is going to know that. The other thing is
Yeah.
we talked about Robert, and we should clarify who that is.
Planning board,
Director of Community
Director of
Development.
Community Development,
You're welcome.
right? So we have to make sure that people are aware of that. We throw these names out. We may know them, but we can't expect everybody to know them.
Just a quick question. So your proposal, would it be to use salt brine or would it be to use acetate?
From a cost-effective standpoint, I think salt brine is the best answer. But potassium acetate is salt-free, chloride-free product that could be used as well. Just a little expensive for the community.
So would this pilot be for the whole development or just the driveways and walkways?
Well, so we were, I mean, if at a whole, I would, my goal would be at a whole for every property within the wellhead protection area to convert over to, whether they're using crystal salt or just sand. I'd love to see a balance in the middle. I think that would be a huge reduction.
So
You're at 7 acres plus if you're looking at everything, roadways. Oh, no, sorry. It's total application. So you're just looking at roadways, parking areas, driveways and walkways. That's what you got it broken down to. Okay. And I think you totaled that up to 3.8. Is that the number on that? Yeah, right there, where it says totals per application.
3.8.
3.8 acres. Okay.
Yeah, for total, and that includes what they call the big house, which is the garden style condos.
Okay.
That includes their walkways, parking lot and travel areas.
Right. Any idea on the cost difference between the acetate and the straight brine?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
For potassium acetate,
Double,
yeah, that's probably almost triple.
triple.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about salt brine, a retail cost of 85 cents a gallon. And acetates are probably $45 per gallon. So it's a huge difference. And formates are even more. They're another 20% more.
say $40 a gallon?
Yep.
And how much was the brine?
85 cents. So per gallon.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, but the
Buy that.
application rates are probably not. You probably covered different square feet for that, right?
Yeah,
Stay here.
potassium acetate does have a larger coverage area, but it also has a very short lifespan of anywhere from 3 to 5 hours.
So I guess what's the, over an acre, what's the cost difference to use each product?
I don't have that number in front of me.
Okay. That would be the easy one to make a decision on. And then because my question was going to be,
Yeah, it's kind of what I was
would we
asking.
consider for this development to just use the acetate after the storm only? And
So the key to liquids is before,
yeah,
to keep the bonding from happening.
Then you can plow it off easy.
You eliminate black ice by being there first.
Yeah.
You eliminate snowpack and ice pack by being there first. The adage is taking a can of Pam and spraying your frying pan before you cook an egg. It's going to allow the egg to release from the surface.
it makes sense. But you also might run into I'm putting this down and the weatherman was really wrong.
Well, again, the nice thing about salt brine is if you do, it's not scattering. It's not getting driven off into the green spaces. Granular salt put down as a pretreatment will get plowed off into the green spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does the acetate, if you put that down first, does it go away? So that's
Stays
still
in the
okay.
surface. It stays in the surface until it's used.
Okay, but if you put it on after, you said it only has like 3 hours of work.
It takes longer. It'll take more product
Okay,
because you're working to drive through that snowpack and ice pack to get back to the surface. It works like if you spread ice melt on ice, you watch a granular ice melt its way down through, and then it melts the surface off, and then you can mechanically remove it. So liquids work the same way.
So it sounds to me that one of the key things that we need to do is we need to get other property owners to buy into this technology so we can give those that are unfortunate enough to be subject to this ordinance more leeway, right? And we can't do that, really, the town has to do that. As far as and maybe it's even a matter of having a discussion with the town about changing some of that ordinance, right? That maybe this is one of the things where we can get neighboring properties to cooperate, right? The problem that I see a little bit is my recommendation would for example be maybe to talk to Merrimack TV and see if we can do a program with them, right? The problem is we as MVD, same thing with the town, nobody can really advertise for you individually, right? So somehow we would have to come up with a way, and not to take anything away. You've been part of this from the first moment on the state level, on town level, and so on. And we greatly appreciate that. But we would have to come up with some kind of package deal with other contractors and suppliers, right? So there's at least 3 names, I would think, on the letter, right? Ideally, it should really be names that are in competition with each other, right? So maybe more than one equipment vendor, or at least, supply, consumable supply or whatnot, right? But again, we cannot vouch for you, we cannot advertise for you,
Oh, yeah.
but something needs to happen. No, I know you're not. I know you're not. I know you're not. The problem is we need to do something about this, and we probably have to stretch the envelope a little bit too, right? And the fact that you have your business logo on a presentation is basically stretching that envelope already. So I guess my proposition would be, can you find other people to team up with, other businesses to team up with, and
That are already applying crystallized salt.
either on a contractor basis or supplier basis that are maybe, complementary to your business, maybe not quite in competition. I don't know, but we have to become creative so we're not showing any
So
favoritism.
you're looking for other contractors that are using liquids.
Other businesses, other contractors that would work with you on the messaging towards in our town, right? I think that would be the best way to do that.
You
And
have 2 other contractors that are using liquid in town. Outdoor Pride, who takes care of Fidelity, is using liquids, and then Groundhog Landscaping is also using liquids.
so I think we have to talk about that, maybe also a little bit with legal. How much can we lean out there, right? I mean, you've been all over this from day one. And we actually reached out to other businesses. I personally did.
Mhm.
And there wasn't a whole lot of response coming back either. So kudos to you in that regard. But we have to stay clean somehow at the same time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
So-
certainly understand that.
Right.
I developed the company because I was asked to be a dealer,
Yeah,
and I saw it as a way to not only bring salt brine into Merrimack, but into New Hampshire. Because when I started 5 years ago, I had to go out of the state to buy product. And now we make product, we make salt brine. But each individual contractor can make their own as well. Outdoor Pride makes their own salt brine. Groundhog Landscaping makes their own salt brine. There's several different pieces of equipment on the market to be purchased to make salt brine.
I think the town makes their own brine as well.
Who's that?
Town?
The town, yep. Yep, DPW makes their own brine.
So it sounds like to me, it's more, are you asking for our support for the town to switch to the brine? They kind of say MVD,
I'm bringing a method that I foresee could reduce the salt impact to the people that provide us with our drinking water.
so, I mean, so it's the planning board, the town has to make the final decision. We can put our support behind the product without saying any company, but this, you know what I mean, to say, hey, yes, this will definitely help the community, and, so we don't have a situation where we have to have, the added treatment, like, 3 had.
or abandon the well even.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm not, the initial ask was a pilot area for Parker Village to be able to use some
That's all it's,
sorts of material.
we're talking about things that may develop after that, so.
Right, I look at helping Parker Village out because of some situations that they've had from a legal standpoint to expanding through the entire town. We use it on every property we service throughout the entire town.
So, I mean, the challenge is that do a pilot study on a property that is currently not applying any salt is only going to add salt. So that's the hardship that I have looking at. The only thing that's going to result of this pilot test is there's going to be more salt going in our groundwater. There's no debating that.
Yeah, okay,
Because
absolutely.
there's no salt going in now, so any additional salt is going in the groundwater. That being said, all these properties that are restricted have a real issue to deal with. There's no doubt about that either. If sand is not effective, and got all the summary of the drawbacks of sand, and that's well known that, if the catch basins don't take all the sand out, then it does make it into the resource areas. It's so, I don't know. On the one hand, I'd like to say, you know what, let's see what happens. Let's try this. And I just don't think, measuring salt in our wells is really gonna tell us an answer because they fluctuate.
Right.
Anyway.
Sometimes we have them going up in the summer and we
Yeah,
don't even
It's got
know.
a big
Right.
span there, it's overall is going up
It's gonna
consistently.
take some time for,
But-
winter salt to make it into the well.
Yeah, but correlation is not causation in that regard at all, because we don't know what other properties have been thrown down in the
This is
well.
true, yeah.
But I mean, I was kind of like leading up to something earlier. A great way would be to get at least one or two comparable properties in the area that are currently grandfathered in to say, you know what? We're gonna be part of that pilot.
I think
So
we could
if,
get behind it more if you came to us and
Right.
said, okay, so we have 3 properties.
correct,
They can't use salt. These guys are using salt. So every
All three.
year, these 3 properties use this much salt.
right.
We're gonna have all 3 go to brine, and now we're gonna use this much salt, which is less
Right.
with the 3 of them together.
And we don't need
It's-
15 or 20 or all properties. We need 2 or 1 comparable
Right.
properties in
It would
the
be
area.
good for the
So-
math to work out that the properties that we're picking compared to what they're using now to what you're proposing to use on all 3, or whatever the number is ultimately a less.
That's my
load.
state. I like to
Yeah.
make this a study that actually has benefit for the watershed. I need to have some properties that are using salt to reduce their salt,
Correct.
so we can see all of them together.
And I would even argue that it's fair for the district and the town to put their name behind that, even though that may get you additional business with these properties, because now it's a pilot project. And you're
Right.
basically acting as a contract of ours to run that pilot. So I think that's something I personally could get behind.
I wouldn't even have MVD be. This is something that's being proposed from someone else,
Right.
bringing it to us. That way we have nothing.
It's like because then it would be
We
more
can,
like a
we can
salt.
say if we're in favor of it or
credit.
not, but it's up to whoever wants to do the legwork to find the people,
Right.
and talk to them about it and all that.
And I guess what we're saying, if the other landscape companies have the same capabilities you do to track it, doesn't mean you have to do all 3 properties. It could be, Groundhog is doing one property and the other guy's doing another property, but those 2 properties were salt before, and now they're going to brine. And we're gonna put this data together.
Okay.
But I think we have to have a credit to the watershed to make it because then you're saying we're just adding salt that doesn't exist today.
So Outdoor Pride didn't always use brine. I mean, that's relatively new from what I've seen. Fidelity, do they have historical data of what they were putting down for salt?
I can certainly ask. Now, they haven't been
Data
a
points.
contractor.
Get some video.
They've been in and out as the contractor
Yes.
over there. But to figure, to take their surfaces and figure out what they were using for granular salt versus what they would be using for
Yeah, so
brine.
same thing you just provided is the reduction in salt overall that you put down year over year. If you get that data point as well, I mean,
I can do that on 2 of my properties right here in this wellhead area.
Mhm.
I don't have anything in, is it well 4 and 5?
So
Parker Village. I don't have anything in that.
but actually, I mean, what you just said is actually if you had customers already in the area that you already switched over to Brian, then we have that credit already
Do
in that same well protection area
in, well.
As Parker
in well
Village?
three.
and Parker
So-
Village is,
so the three properties that I take care of
Yeah.
within the well three wellhead protection area are on Continental Boulevard.
and Parker Village is so
Parker
further.
Village is in-
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we take care of areas like the post office, which I believe is outside the wellhead area.
No.
No,
No, it's in there?
Yep.
So we have the post office.
And I don't believe they have a restriction.
No
So that would be, so that would be positive.
Huh. So what do you do there? The parking lot and the walkways too, or
Yes, we do the front lot, the center lot, and then the lot out back.
what's
Which
going
is-
on at Merrimack Commons, the big, where the Jade is and all that parking areas?
As far as I know, they've been
It's crystallized.
salt down. Looked like he did a little cutback this last event.
They've
Yeah.
cut back some.
Yeah.
They did get a letter. That was one of the properties that,
They're not restricted though, are they? I thought they were grandfathered.
the way
Be restricted.
they had,
Oh, yeah, the
Twin
new,
Bridge Place should be restricted.
that's the new two buildings, right?
Yes.
That's funny.
The place up on the,
Dance studio.
that has a restriction.
place. Yeah,
The way I read the Commons Plaza, they have restrictions to no palletized stuff outside, so they can't put pallets of salt,
Tractor supply.
fertilizers, that kind of stuff, so,
Oh,
which tells me if you can't put it out in pallets, you really shouldn't be putting it out on the ground either, so that's the way I interpret it. I put it on the letter, they did get a letter,
all right.
so.
I mean, I feel like we want to do something to help. I guess, let me ask this as a compromise. You got it broken down between walkways, driveways, parking areas and roadways. Is there a preference, a priority on any of those? One being more important than
Walkways
others?
and driveways.
That's what I would have figured.
Every driveway in the property is sloped,
Yeah,
so that's
that's,
the treacherous area.
and I know there's been some injuries out there and, or one at least that I'm aware of that was brought to our attention already. I don't know.
Do we want to table this? I can actually get this to Jamie, talk to Jamie.
Yeah, so-
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to table it because the winner is here.
I was just gonna say that.
At least till next meeting, maybe two.
Actually, I would make a motion that we talk to the Department of Community Development. And maybe you can sharpen your numbers a little bit with the properties you're already serving, show the savings that you already achieve in that area. And provide that to staff. And that we support.
I mean, you just mentioned the post office, so
Right.
that's kind of the one of the things we're
That's
looking
substantial
for.
right there.
Somewhere that was using crystallized salt that's been reduced to brine, so that offsets some of the brine that you want to use at Parker Village where there's no salt being used now, you know what I mean? So
Right.
we want to reduce salt where it's being used to kind of offset adding the brine where there's no salt at all.
Is Shaw's one of your customers?
No,
Oh,
it was just an example, because I know that they're both stand-alone.
oh, okay.
That confused me, I was like.
Yeah, no, they're not one of my customers,
Okay.
no. I just wanted to portray a business besides just,
Yeah.
I'm looking for across the board, because the biggest liability is your businesses, because they have several people per hour over the walkways, whereas the resident is, typically, we always looked at a condo complex, their walkway was 3 people on average per day. Whereas you look at the business, you start talking about hundreds of people per day.
Yeah.
So it's a higher liability
Yeah.
walkway.
Oh, yeah.
So we shouldn't have to go back to community development, I think. So I've talked to Robert.
Does he feel he has the authority to allow that?
Yes,
Yeah.
for a,
Study.
first study.
Pilot study.
And this is something that we're trying to work through. It's only gonna help him out in the future. If we need to go to an ordinance or something to that effect, to help solve this problem that we're having with salt. The rest of the well protection areas, so
Yeah.
he was fine. In the original, it was brought to my attention, I was under the impression it was a driveway, so that's the way I approached it to Robert. He was fine with that. If it was gonna be the whole development, I probably would have to I want to go back to him just because it might be the whole development, but if we're just talking driveways, I'm pretty confident that he'd be fine with a written plan, something written out that, this is what we're gonna be doing, a duration of a study, and then
And we'll be able to report you the amount of salt that we've put down, because we're gonna go by the number of gallons used. Granted, on walkways and driveways, it's not gonna be GPS rate controlled. It's a little more hose reel spray gun.
Yeah.
But we can still track the amount of liquid we're using.
So I'll make a motion to, I mean, we can't really approve it, right? But we're supporting that pilot study, right? For Parker Village against the ordinance of a no salt area, right? For walkways, driveways, and I would actually include parking areas, because when I look at the overall tonnage, it's not that much more. The
No,
roadways is
Yeah,
what's
the
really
parking
killing
area
it.
is really the front of the big house.
Yeah.
And then the front of the
Yeah.
clubhouse.
And that's where you would see the most pedestrian traffic, which is really the major concern. It's not so much a car that slides.
Yeah, the travel lanes. and
Right, right.
roadways.
So walkways, driveways, and parking areas, I think we should be trying that.
and yeah, since, you did provide evidence about, for one instance, the post office, so that's good to know. I would say if there's any other applications coming in, pilot studies in the future, we'd be looking for like that calculated balance.
Yep.
To show me wherever properties, if someone's proposing to use brine on a property that did not use any salt, they would come in with identifying other properties that are or have used salt and went or are going to brine to reduce, so that you're reducing here, even though you're maybe adding a little over here,
The balance.
right? Because, the last thing we want to do is just open the floodgates for all these restricted properties
And just be.
to just, even if they're even using brine, which is the way to go if you're gonna use salt, it is. I totally agree.
And I'm
But it's
gonna,
a different situation when you're not using any salt and then you start using salt. I want to see that trade-off somewhere else to take that salt that you're adding where there was none. I want to see the trade-off somewhere else where you're reducing it to kind of balance it off,
and I'm gonna amend my motion for the winter of 2024, 2025.
Yeah, let's see how, good point. See how this goes.
This
Because it is a pilot, so pilots usually have a.
Which also,
Yeah, you need an endpoint on that.
and we don't want to set a precedent that's open-ended. So this is, if some other property owner wants to come forward and say, hey, we have a neighboring property over there, they're willing to jump on this, so we want to be part of that pilot as well for this year. Fine.
And then, maybe you can report back to us after the winter, just give us some numbers. Maybe this is on the salt committee or something too. That, if you're measuring what you're applying out there and how successful was it, did you find out that it was enough or was not enough? Maybe you had to adjust and, you want to use a little bit more or something in the future. That's what the pilot test is for too, is to kind of see for yourself what you apply. Does it work? How well does it work?
Everyone's different, but,
Right.
we run pre-treat, post-treat per storm, 125 gallons per acre total.
Yeah.
Occasionally more.
Okay.
That really depends on the consistency of the snow. Colder months, we're gonna use less because there's less water content in the snow. Whereas this last storm, we scraped and we post-treated. That's the other thing too with the Green Snow Pro program is you're mechanically removing, you're not melting your accumulation, you're mechanically removing it first. By doing that, now you're getting black and wet pavement immediately.
Right. All right, so your motion was for walkways, driveways, and parking areas.
At Parker Village for
At
the winter of
Parker Village.
2024-2025.
You want to set it like an end date in 2025 because then you next, so
the
then
winter
The winter of
season.
2024,
Yeah.
the winter season 2024-2025. Yeah.
March 30th.
Yeah.
So what does success look like?
I don't know. I don't think we have a barometer for that measuring stick. I mean, we got our wells that we are monitoring quarterly. Again, I think the data scatter and the regular pattern of.
Well, I think
Almost need
the
several
success.
years of numbers.
Well, we already have the success, to be honest, because some properties have already been converted. We're responding now to basically the fact that these properties are applying between 50 and 70% less salt, thanks to that brine application in that area, right? So we're almost harvesting the benefits of that
Well,
already. And now I mean, the success would basically be that this works for Parker Village. And because we have reduced in other areas already, we can potentially be more lenient going forward in other areas as well, as long as surrounding properties also switch to brine.
I will say it hasn't come to fruition in the graphs of the
No.
sodium and chloride of those wells, though. Those are still on an upward trajectory. And it's probably because we haven't reached it, obviously, right?
Yeah, I mean, the areas that we are doing are
Yeah,
insignificant compared to areas that are getting granular salt.
and if it starts going into the area where you're reducing salt load here in order to use it here where it wasn't before, that almost bodes for having a master salt policy for private landowners and public landowners within the area. And you don't have any more of this grandfathering stuff. If this, you know what I mean? That's kind of where, by balancing out these sites like this, that's kind of what you're saying. Eventually, you want to just have all of the sites in the aquifer protection districts be able to just use the minimum amount of salt if they're going to use any salt.
So basically what I'm hearing is the success is to watch that graph go from this to this, right?
Right.
So that's going to take years to measure.
It
As
will.
long as it's not skyrocketing, then we're okay. And
Right.
then pounds of salt used in the town overall, a reduction.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers that we're gonna see after, specifically for Parker Village, I think it's a combination of things. We're gonna have a community that is safer, and we're probably gonna, hopefully, Parker Village, get a statement that they're very appreciative of that and feel safer, right? They feel it works, which is a statement that can be used as we approach other properties that might be hesitant to move away from salt, right? Because they don't trust brine. If we have a fairly large property or a community like Parker Village buying into the idea of brine, now we can approach, I don't even know who the other,
Yeah,
properties
spread.
are. We have a success story, right? We maybe can't measure it, but we have a success story.
Another
If you deliver the numbers, deliver the numbers on the other hand of clients that you have already converted to brine, and what kind of reduction that has led to, and we compare it with what Parker Village is going to be on, and what it normally would be as, what numbers it normally would see with traditional granular salt applications. That's a story we can develop and communicate, and I think that's some value, right? Some measurable value.
So along with that, and then into next season, hopefully we'll have our some more grant opportunity from this, the study that we're doing now with Jamie
Mhm.
From EPA.
Mhm.
So we might be able to offer some grants out to the public or in some form
Yeah.
to actually on a little bit to get community.
Yeah.
These
Well, it might also be actually for contractors doing the work because they have to buy the equipment to put down brine.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're kind of getting at, to make that switch over to brine
Right.
as well to these.
Right, right. Because if the town's going to mandate that, hey, you have to use brine or nothing, that grant money would be.
Some of the education too is the amount of money that they can save in their salt costs
That's,
will pay for the.
yeah, and that's part of it, right? That's why I said, like, make sure you have those numbers in there, and what that cost reduction is.
We have a salt calculator that will actually tell a contractor what he'll save and how long it'll take to recover the purchase of
Perfect.
new equipment.
I mean, I could go as far and say I would even propose like some kind of, little trade show, like an open house or something that MVD actually supports. But we have to have more than one business partaking in it, right?
Right.
So, I mean, if maybe for this year is too late, but for next summer, for example,
Yeah.
maybe we open up a parking lot and we bring a couple of contractors and suppliers here in our parking lots and,
We have tons
send
of
it out to the
education we can
community.
Bring out too.
I'm sorry?
We have tons of education we can bring out.
Yeah,
too.
and
Rollins, you'll have been to a few of the other, Heinz went.
And as long as it's more than one business attending that little trade show, I think it's perfectly fine for MVD to actually. Right, we have to talk to legal about that, right? Because now it becomes a meeting technically, right? So. But.
We can do that on, our own, we don't have to have it here on MVD property.
Well, but it might help actually, right? So, it's about getting the word out, right? But we have to have multiple business
There's a lot of
participating in it.
education with this. There's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of, that's, my favorite salt, that's the stuff that rots your car. Well, if you're driving on a wet road in January at 20 degrees, you're driving in salt run.
Yeah.
No difference, so.
All right, so there's a motion on the table. Was it seconded?
Seconded.
Can you repeat the motion?
What's that? So the emotion is, I'm not even sure if we need one really.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Right.
that's my question.
'Cause we're not-
I say we just say the motion to support,
Yeah.
Correct.
because what it comes down to is the town's gonna have to make the decision, correct?
Right.
They already have.
No, Robert basically said
Right.
we're good.
Go ahead.
So the motion is basically that MVD, the Board of Commissioners, supports a pilot project where between the Department of Community Development and MVD, we agree that it makes sense for Parker Village to get a deviation from the no salt ordinance that they are restricted under, right?
Site restrictions.
To deviate from that and actually allow for brine application during the winter of 2024 up until March or April, let's say April 2025, for their walkways, driveways, and parking areas for salt brine to be applied,
But not roadways.
not roadways. Correct. Did I say roadways?
Nope.
Right. Okay.
Sounds good.
Seconded.
All right. All right, any more discussion? I think we kind of came to the end of this one. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. No oppositions, abstentions, that's 500. Yeah, so just, I guess, make Jamie aware. I don't think we need to wait. I kind of don't, I like this, we're gonna have bad weather, it's already starting, so I don't want to push this off another month to have to come back, so that's why.
So we thank you for that.
Yeah,
Well, and what's the next step? Are you gonna reach out to the property owners or to
Yep.
the board of the,
Board president's on
right?
right now, so.
Okay.
do you have any comments?
Oh, that's right. That's why I knew the name. Okay.
Well, first of all, thank you for listening all the way through and participating so generously in the conversation. I'm very much in favor of going forward with the plan, obviously. Not only would I be willing to make a statement, but I would be willing to speak to any of the property owners or provide a presentation from a customer perspective on how it works and how effective it was and so on and so forth. So I'm very pleased by the outcome of this discussion.
Good, thanks for letting us know, and it'd be good to hear that feedback too at the end of the winter season. So
Great. Yep.
And
Fantastic.
apologies, Tom, I didn't recognize the name. I know you and I talked about this before more than once, so
We
apologies.
have, and to be honest, I was about ready to give up until we started talking about this particular proposal. So I'm very pleased that we're at least going to be allowed to take the next step forward. I think that's great.
Right.
Thank you.
Good luck. I hope
Thank you.
hope it works
Thank you
great.
very much.
All right. Thanks, Sean.
Nice meeting you, sir.
Nice to
All
meet
right.
you. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Sean, see you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
So I want an extra.
What's up? I'll be back.
All right. We good? We need to break it all or?
No, let's go. Knock this out.
But we have to stop the presentation and not kill the meeting.
Joe, come back.
Make sure you click the right X. Been done before.
That's why he always has that seat down.
All right. All right, good. So we were, I believe, in
On
the
the
middle
minutes,
of
on the action.
action items, I think. And
I think the last one we finished was 79.
yeah, so
79 was last.
I just wanted to go back to the ones that we did address. Let's see, because we have to change the dates on the last column. Ongoing salt committee meeting number 43, that was December. How often are we doing that? Is that monthly or doesn't say on here? But
You can put monthly on there because
Yeah.
We kinda-
information.
yeah. All right, so number 43, why don't you put in parentheses in the first column, put monthly on there and then obviously change the next last column to January. Number
Okay.
67.
Or just make it monthly altogether.
Yeah, we have some that just say monthly on the side.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. So just take that last column monthly on number 43. Number 67.
Why don't we say wait for 43?
I guess it does. Well, we just bump that out for like February or something, I guess, for 67. 79, did we already do that one, right?
Yeah,
So
we did.
that's,
Yeah.
Monthly?
Monthly.
it's kind of, that is monthly, so, all right, so that just change the last column on 79 to be monthly as well. 85, financial accounting software, I think we got an update on that. Let's push that off till next month, right?
February, maybe.
February, you think?
Yeah.
It's the holidays, so not much gonna happen.
All right, so number 85, let's push that off to February. 87, salt reduction letter that was already sent, you said?
No, we have a meeting with Memory and Garrett on Thursday.
So we're trying to combine that with a letter for the grant.
Oh, yes,
So we're,
plan grant.
yeah,
Yeah,
so we have a meeting with them on Thursday. We'll hopefully get that out soon.
What grant?
the salt reduction
Watershed.
watershed
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
plan. Whatever we call it.
All right, so what do you want to change that December to something else?
January.
January,
Yeah.
we can do monthly.
Okay. The next number 88 is monthly PFAS, GAC filtration, media alternative vendor plan. Oh, yeah, that's the,
Yeah, so we met with Dexorb, and it's actually on 11/21. We're aiming for, so they're gonna be shipping that, it's on a skid, the whole unit, like
okay,
first week of January. And then delivery and setup the first week of January, the next engineer will observe the assembly and then we'll assemble it and load the media. So really, after the first of the year, it's probably first couple weeks into January, that should be started, up and running.
is that kind of the last thing we're waiting for? Is that,
Last thing we're waiting for,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know, if we have the media and the resin for all of the other 6
I-
columns or
I
not?
believe we do.
Okay,
Um,
all right. That's good. Any questions on that? We move on to number 94. I think we already had addressed that.
94 is gonna 94 is gonna fall off that list.
Yeah, so that, Dawn, why don't you just retire number 94?
Okay,
So we don't have to follow up on that one. The next one, 95, is monthly water line extensions for the St. Cobain projects.
So Christopher Wildcat and Brenda Lane water mains, and entrances have been completed and tested. Basically, all outside work has been done. 15 out of the 16 homes are complete. They paid for the entrance fee, entrance apps, and they're
Okay,
connected in. Just waiting on the remainder, and it's just the inside work, basically.
so we'll still have another report. We'll probably retire this number when they're all connected and the project's complete, which, what's any time frame on that? Did they tell you at all, or,
They're working with homeowners, so they're kind of scheduling around them.
do they still have paving to do, or did they get all the paving done?
Paving, well, they're gonna have cleanup. Let me rephrase that. So they were able to do temp paving.
Oh, okay.
So they'll come back in the spring and they'll do their final. paving.
Right.
So.
Okay, what else do we have here? Number 98. That says November, so we should probably bump that out to, oh, didn't we,
So I did,
didn't we confirm this? Power supply to Mitchell Woods?
we did talk to Peter. He hasn't gotten an answer yet from Sade. I think Sade,
Yeah,
their electrical engineer, hasn't gotten back to him yet. The last I had talked to Peter, he still hadn't heard, but he was right in the middle of working on the
O&M manual.
O&M manuals. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'd rather have
Yeah.
finish up on that.
So we could probably bump 98 out to like February or something, right? Not yet super critical. Hydraulic models for March, and then the last one is January. So I guess that concludes the action items, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Here, so number 5, next on the agenda is old business. Anybody at old business?
Brief on radios.
I did talk to the Assistant Chief Tarleton.
Mhm.
He's gonna get back to me on this week, so I don't have a whole lot to report. I am working with
Okay,
them on it.
it's on your radar.
It is.
Thank you. That's
And
fine.
from our discussions, that I thought that the what was in the communication building was something the town would maintain. It was something that they owned and maintained. He was kind of under the same impression, but he was gonna kind of dig into that a little bit deeper as well. So I'm still working on it.
Okay. Well, we had talked about potentially actually splitting off from the town because there has been more than one case in the past where it didn't work out so well.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out first who owns
Okay.
what, and then
Okay,
kind of go from there. But yes.
okay.
Okay. Anybody have any other old business stuff? No? I was looking at the MVD PFAS monitoring summary table. That's prepared by Underwood, is it right? The one that has the change out date scheduled and all that stuff. On the first column, wells 4 and 5, you can find that sheet. I think where it says date of eight months of lead operation, 6/22/2025. I think that should be 6/8/2025. Not that it's a big difference. It's only a few days in there, but I think what we're doing in all these cases is we're looking at the second line down where for wells 4 and 5, it says 10/8/2024, and we're adding months to that, right?
It's going by the first detection in the effluent.
No, it's going by when it was first put into the lead position,
Basically, yeah, what I think it's a rough estimate.
because the other ones are right. See, the 2/13 goes to 11/13, although there's an extra month in there because of the swap out or whatever that you did. But that's also, I just think that date should be changed to 6/8.
I will confirm those when we actually change out at 4 and
Yeah.
5.
It's confusing to remember that policy. I have to think about it every time as myself. And then at wells 7 and 8, I don't know if you have in your superintendent report about any change out of.
Yeah, it always gets.
All right, we'll save it for that. I don't want to steal all of your thunder.
It was a quick one.
I keep thinking your superintendent's report needs to be much earlier in the meeting. you know?
Maybe,
That might help.
Yeah.
maybe like after Kristen, then he can
Yeah.
get all of his
We're always deflating.
spoiler alerts out
Yeah.
and we don't go back.
I mean, most of the action items has his name on it, so why not just get them?
Right.
And the only other question I had on that table, it shows Wells 4 5 down at the bottom of port lead breakthrough. It says ND. Does that mean non-detected? Oh, it does say right there, right? Non-detect in the, okay. It doesn't say what port. I was just curious if they usually list the ports in there, but no big deal. Maybe just take a look at these closer when we get them. They are from Underwood, right?
Yes.
All right. That was all I had. There's no other old business. If there's any new business? Go ahead, Wolf.
Real quick. I recommend that you reach out to Block 5. And please don't take this the wrong way because Zoom does suck to operate. But I think it would be a great idea if Block 5 provides you with a training and with procedure about Zoom and specifically when we have to present like a PowerPoint, because we should be doing that more often anyway. And please do not, I struggle with that myself and I'm pretty computer savvy. Zoom is not easy to operate. I think that's one of those things where we don't use Block 5 enough. Block 5 being our IT provider. Have them, and I'm sure you're not the only one asking for it because they take care of municipalities across the state and beyond. So I would think that they have a training program available and a procedure available on how to properly, present and which buttons to push and so we don't struggle with that.
Maybe they could make it open to anybody from MVD who wants to attend and we could too.
Like commissioners, for example.
No, I was just gonna ask to find Teams to be more.
No, I prefer Zoom hands down over Teams, but
Okay.
if Block 5 doesn't have it, Zoom probably has it right on their site.
I think they do, but I think it would be nice to get that guidance from, we're paying Block 5 anyway, right? So let's use them, right? And reading a website is one thing, going through a pilot, a little practice is always helpful.
And you guys can like Zoom each other in the office.
For example, yeah.
Yeah, don't see us anymore.
No, but
Rod's
for
gonna like,
practice, that's
this too
exactly
much.
right.
He's just gonna like,
But, we're paying experts, right? So use them. I would recommend that. And the other one real quick. Trent, we had a breakage the other day on Babusick Lake Road, right near Joppa, right? Or a little bit towards, I don't know. There was a strip that went across the street from across Babusick Lake, and it was about a foot high after it got
oh, are you
paved.
talking about the one, it's before Patton Road, but it's still,
It's actually
it's-
Patton, not Joppa, you're right, yeah.
and it's
yeah.
been shaved down.
Right,
I don't know
somebody
if the
shaved-
plows shaved it down or they came
No.
back. It's that day where I saw
It
you.
looked like somebody went over with a hand grinder.
That was one of those St. Cobain
That's what I thought it
water
was.
connections.
Was it us?
It's not us. That is
Okay.
actually SUR.
Okay, because that was a
Roughy patch.
pretty sketchy job, to be honest. And I asked that because I remember about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, we had a breakage on Turkey Hill near Candy Lane. And that one was always also a little bit elevated. And it over time, it sunk. And that one was much wider, so it was not so much of an issue. But I guess my question is there a way for us to do? And I'm assuming we go higher because the dirt settles
It
underneath,
shouldn't,
right?
it shouldn't settle if it's
No.
compacted.
Yeah, I know.
Impacted,
It's
right?
probably not compacted, that's the.
Well,
Can they request a speed bump?
actually,
That should have been on Patton. not on, I think.
what's that?
We need to get better with our patching.
Okay,
in
okay,
my opinion, yes.
yeah. And I'm, especially in the wintertime with the plows, it could be a problem, but it's also motorcycles, bicyclists and so on, right? It might be a good idea to pay attention to that.
Yeah, but you said that was not you.
That one is not us. No, that was actually SUR, and that's a temp patch.
The one on Babusick,
Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
It's kind of like.
That was particularly bad.
By Pennachuck Square at all, with RH White's doing all the gas work out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are.
That drives me crazy as well. It's all in the ones. That's passenger side of your
Does the
vehicle.
town sign off on that?
That's actually all state over there.
Oh,
but,
state, okay.
Yeah,
Somebody should be signing off on it.
And I think it's just, it's all temp, it's gonna be coming up.
The first plow that goes by.
Well, I mean, well, in this spring, they're gonna be doing
Right.
a lot of the work anyways.
The real patch. Okay.
Any other new business?
That's it for mine.
I just want to make one quick thing about wells 4 and 5 were detected the highest PFOA level ever recorded in those wells in November.
Pre-filter.
Yeah.
Just want to add that.
Yeah. So it's still on the rise,
On their way
you
on.
know, if DES or whoever thinks that it's gonna migrate and we're on a downswing and, which they've never said that, but I've asked that question and I never got an answer. No one's ever analyzed the fact that the soil that's contaminated. Where are we in that? Is it gonna get worse before it gets better? Well, it looks like it's been getting worse, just for anecdotal information.
What is the pump rate prior to that spike? Has it been excessive?
I think
mean, unusually
beside the
What time?
The
is
other
it?
thing that would, the correlate is that when it's a drier season, it seems to get higher. And we have had a drought, right? I mean, we're technically probably still in it, but
It's
coming
been
out.
dry, but the test wells haven't been bad.
They had no
Right.
concerns also coming out.
I think it just follows, it seems to follow precipitation. Even I track on the other wells that we have, and it's kind of hard because usually we get more pumping during the summer where it's dry. But I don't think we were pumping high in November. No one's irrigating.
No, we, and
So-
if anything, we're down, we're actually at a lower rate than we've been in a.
So that tells me.
We would have been at our higher rates of
Right.
625.
So this drought was kind of maybe good to figure out that it's probably precipitation related more so than it is pumping. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Superintendent report?
Yes, and I also.
What's left?
So we just did a media change out. It's, well, 7 and 8, December 11th. I just talked to Scott. I just lost his last name, Sainsbury. They were originally gonna do the turnaround for the 19th of this week. So they're having some issues with their plant. With our media, he said it's like it's sticky almost, or it's not. I don't know if it's our media. They're having issues. It's not feeding through the plant fast enough to actually get a load back to us in time for the 19th. And then we're also running into the holiday. So it looks like the turnaround time will probably, I gotta use the dates. I gotta talk with Brian tomorrow and Nick, to see when staffing, when it works best for us to get it back, but I've got a list of dates and part of it, like, first one was January 3rd, but they were ready to bring it back. Again, the 19th it's still way better than what we've ever
Yeah.
had with the other company.
So we got that lag vessel then is now still online by itself, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Right.
This vessel is the one that I believe that we get the 4,000 pounds extra media in as well from the Desertec. So this is the first one, first change out with Carbon Corp. So we, as far as makeup, I'm not even sure if we're gonna need any makeup or not with this one. It may just be a. And and I let them know that's the goal of whatever I want to get back to the 36,000 pounds.
Okay.
The 40 vessel with the extra media.
Yep.
So that's the goal with that. And then let you guys know tomorrow night I'm going to be presenting the CIP to the planning board.
Oh, yeah. All right.
What time is that?
I don't know.
Don't miss it.
Planning board starts at like
It's 7? Is it 7?
6:30.
6:30, 7 o'clock?
Might be 6:30.
Yeah.
6:30.
All right. So the only thing left is questions from the press and public. I don't know, is anybody on the Zoom call right now? You see anybody up there?
So,
All the way to the left.
oh, there we go.
There you go. This has 3.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, it's just us. All right. So I guess that's it. Next meeting is scheduled for January 27th. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Ken, second by Scott. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, 5-0-0, no opposition, no abstention. See you next month, Merrimack.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.